Devastating scenes as witnessed by our SABC cameras outside of Parliament yesterday as students came out in their numbers to protest against the fees. These visuals, of course, captured by our cameras, and really devastating scenes. If you look at every single newspaper, every single television station, every single radio station, that's all anybody is talking about this morning. What happened outside of Parliament, not necessarily only what happened outside of Parliament, but of course, this is spreading to all of the universities around South Africa as well. But these visuals are very defiant students just wanting an education. All right, well, this morning we have got our journalist, Abra Barbier, reporting live from outside of Parliament. Obviously, a much different scene from what we are looking at here, Abra. I mean, it's just yesterday's scenes were devastating, I imagine. I mean, many people have differing opinions of how they felt about what happened yesterday, but give us a first-hand experience of what it was like. I mean, you were there. What was the sense like for you as a reporter witnessing what was going on outside the gates of Parliament and inside the precinct?
Good morning, Leanne. I suppose I'm going to echo the sentiments of many of my other colleagues who were all on the ground working very hard in the midst of all of this, dodging missiles, dodging stun grenades as well. And what I can tell you is that at the time that this all happened, I was sitting in the newsroom because I, of course, had been working on another story. I was sitting in the newsroom. We heard the chaos outside because as the SABC, we have a vantage point in Parliament in terms of where we visuals. I ran out into the balcony and I just saw thousands and thousands of students below me running through Parliament, and I was so shocked. I didn't know what to do at that point. I then just ran back into the newsroom. I grabbed a colleague. I said, "Get a camera. We need to get down there now." And we went down there, and I promise you, it's like all your emotions, everything just shuts down, and you just buckle down and you do the job, and you get as much as you can get. You hear the gun, well, I can't say gunfire, but you hear the stun grenades going off, and you actually run towards it to go see what kind of visuals you can get over there, to go see what kind of reaction you can get to from where that sound came from. And that's literally how it went for hours. I just saw journalists, photographers running around. I saw students. At some point, the police couldn't determine who the media were and who the students were, and quite a few of my colleagues were actually grabbed by police, and they first had to prove which media house they were from before they were then released. And it was only, I suppose, when I got home last night that I managed to process all of this. And from what I've seen on social media, there were very, very few of us, and of course students and everybody else who were part of the protest, who slept last night, because people have just been giving commentary right through the night. Many cannot believe what they saw. Many are still very riled up by what happened. But I can tell you that the parents of the students who were arrested, I suppose they had the hardest evening.
Yeah.
Somebody I spoke to said her son is a first-year student, and she was praying and she was hoping that he was safe, but she supported him 100% for what he was doing, for the cause that he was fighting, and she understood why her son was there. I spoke to the stepmother of another young man who was arrested. She just told me now, I mean, she was sleeping, she had a very rough night. She just told me now that they have to be back at court at 8:30 this morning. The 23 who have been released, they are appearing. We don't know on what charges they were arrested. The NPA will update us with those details later on. So those 23 are appearing at the Cape Town Court, Cape Town Magistrates Court this morning. But then, of course, the other 6 who were held in Bellville, they were arrested with other charges, and they are seen as the ringleaders, and we are yet to find out exactly what's happening with those 6.
Let's elaborate a little bit more on them, because last night, as you say, I think nobody really sleeping, reading, whether it be social media or watching the news or just getting glimpses of what was going on. In your earlier report, you mentioned that the Hawks said treason is not something that they are being, the charges are being laid against them. It's rather trespassing. Has this been confirmed? Because many are still speculating that a charge of treason may very well be laid.
Leanne, the stepmother who I spoke to earlier on, who does have a legal background as well, she was still insisting that the 6 at Bellville were arrested for treason. But my colleagues who were covering the story till late last night have confirmed they did interviews with the Hawks, who in fact confirmed that, number one, they are not investigating anything because this is a SABC matter. So at the moment, the Hawks are saying this is not their beat. It belongs to SABC. But treason is definitely not on the table. And as you mentioned, they are citing trespassing rather as the charges against those 6.
Abra, I know we're going to be crossing to you throughout the morning because it's a very, very busy day out there. As you heard, appearing in court at around about 8:30 this morning, those that were arrested. Abra Barbier, who's outside Parliament, very different scenes there this morning, very quiet as opposed to what unfolded yesterday. And all of this was happening while the midterm budget was being announced by our Finance Minister inside the buildings of Parliament. So we'll continue to keep on watching those. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this with more.